from the inside out this 2022. And wouldn't that be a rebellious thing for us to do in a time when the world is feeling contracted and more restricted than ever before? How rebellious would it be for each one of us to say, I am choosing that I'm not only going to get by this year, but I'm going to have the best year of my life. Imagine we did that. That's what this concept is all about. So if you have a pen and paper, that's going to be helpful because we're going to go through some exercises that will be quite powerful. And at the end, I'm going to be doing the draw on this call for a participant who is on the call or who is on the day call for any of the programs, any of the self-study programs. And I'm also giving away 2 presents at the end of the call. Those are a surprise. And I will be sharing details. Some of you already know about this, about a new creation I've been channeling the last year that I'll be announcing to the public in a couple of days, but you guys will get a little sneak peek of that for those who are interested. Okay, cool. So is this training portal for you? Well, the answer is absolutely. If you've been feeling the stretch, the weight of the world, a little bit of that chaotic energy as a result of the last 2 years. I know some people have been feeling isolated, repressed, maybe even a bit of a black sheep, depending on the network you are in. Maybe it feels like you're drowning in life's demands and it's hard to get that vision that you have up and running or off the ground because of the time, right? And perhaps just with the way of the world as of lately, that career path that you've been in doesn't have that same sense of fulfillment or stability that it previously afforded you. So it could be the training portal for you if you're just feeling a general lack of purpose or fulfillment, or maybe lack of direction, lack of momentum in the direction you really want to go. Perhaps there's a bit of anxiousness, sadness, maybe there's health or relationship difficulties. I don't know if any of you are into astrology at all, but I often like to see what's going on astrologically when I notice I'm feeling kind of funky about something. And on an astrological standpoint, we've had Venus in retrograde since mid-December, and it moves regular at the end of January. So if you've had relationship tension, that is Venus retrograde. So it's also the training portal for you if you just love the idea of going to bed feeling excited for the next day, because you have that sense of, I am right where I'm meant to be. And also for you, if you want to break free from any block or perhaps even subconscious pattern you sense could be there, keeping you stuck or replaying a certain pattern in your life. We're actually doing a really, really powerful exercise about that. And Raquel, I see you're on the call. This is an exercise that anyone who's taken Elevate Your Life has actually gone through. So you can probably vouch it's a powerful epiphany. It's for you if you feel uninspired in your current career path and really want to uncover your own magic and design a life that at the end of the day feels really, really good. And a concept we're working with as we move through the 5 steps is using pain, setback, or disappointment as the catalyst, or I say the rocket fuel to propel us in the direction we actually want to go. And so I think that resonates hopefully with some of you guys, what this training portal is all about. And in summary, over the next 60 minutes, I'm going to try and have it be contained to 60 minutes. You're going to go from feeling stuck to that unstoppable force of nature, clear and confident about your capabilities, your manifestation abilities moving forward. And we're going to dive into this concept that is so fun and expansive, the quantum realm, how to work with it and start entertaining and bringing forth real experiences in your life that in a previous chapter may have seemed absolutely improbable and impossible. And I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of my backstory of how I did do a quantum leap, how I did work with the quantum realm, how I learned these powerful principles that allowed for this shift to happen in a head spinning, a remarkable short period amount of time. And here's the thing, without this specialized information that you don't learn on the evening news, that you don't learn in school, you don't learn from your parents, typically at least, we can be susceptible to creating the same kinds of limitations in our life again and again, manifesting the same kinds of outcomes that don't truly fulfill us. And left in a place of wondering, is all of the time and effort or even financial investment I've done today worth the results I'm generating? So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. And again, at the end, we're going to be doing technically 3 gifts because one woman wins the self-study. Okay, so I'll try and do a 𝐐𝐮𝐧𝐭 version here, you guys. Quantum leap story. Some of you know this if you've been in my network for years. Some of you have known me for years. Some of you are meeting me for the first time right now. So 𝐐𝐮𝐧𝐭 version is I was one of those women who was chronically rushing to get to the next step, only to get to the next step and realize, oh, it wasn't all that it was cracked out to be. The societal norms that I was on a mission to chase, keep up with the Joneses, that's the white picket fence here, it all came crashing down for me this summer. I turned 29. I'm 37, so this was quite some time ago, but I'm going to take you on the journey. It's quite a story. And this is a rock bottom story, but here's the thing, the things you're going to be learning today, you don't have to wait for a rock bottom to implement these phases, these shifts, this 5-step voyage. You can do it before shit hits the fan. I just happened to be a stubborn woman. And so I wasn't getting the nudges until it got quite abrupt and alarming how off course my life was becoming. So I'm just going to give you a highlight reel. My life started off in a more challenging dynamic where it kind of set the pattern for some future events. I had a really difficult childhood. My parents were alcoholics. Their parents were, so on and so forth, and really were playing a pattern of neglect. I feel that neither were able to handle the demands of being a parent. And so my mom moved away when I was 11. And my father, I was removed from his house when I was 15, placed in the care of another family for high school. When I turned 17, I moved out of that house, and with my waitress money, washing dishes at Boston Pizza, I moved into my very first apartment. I moved out into my first apartment 20 years ago, you guys. It's been a long time. It's been a long journey and a lot has happened. But from that moment on, I said to myself, I'm on a mission. I'm going to be successful. But I hadn't had a spiritual awakening yet. So my vision of successful was go to university, get a secure job, a secure paycheck, get married, feel love and safety through the concept of marriage. Whether or not it's the right person was a whole different story for me. And where this ended up leading me was an unfulfilling, draining career, married and unhappy, deeply unhappy at 28, chronic pain for the entirety of the corporate career because my body said, this isn't right for you. So I'm going to rebel. Maybe some of you can relate to that. Have you done a job you don't really love going to and you notice your body isn't comfortable and is starting to give you challenges? That's a really common symptom. So around the time of turning 29, I ended up getting divorced. I ended up losing my house that I thought was going to be so great, move into this new house. I ended up losing my friendships, really coming to this awareness that I had in fact developed the very thing I despised about my parents. I had developed an alcohol addiction. And I know that's surprising if you're just looking at me at a glance because I do not fit the stereotype, and addiction doesn't pick any stereotype for that matter. And so it all came crashing down on my actual 29th birthday. I got blackout drunk, which was the norm for me back then. I fell down my staircase and I was alone. I lost consciousness. I cracked open my skull. I fractured it. I got a traumatic brain injury, level 2. And the brain tissue that was damaged as a result of this gave me anosmia, no ability to smell. I haven't been able to smell for 8.5 years, but trust me, this was a blessing in disguise because the ripple effect that came after this was monumental. Yes, there was challenges. I had an impaired way of thinking temporarily, and I ended up getting catfished online. I list that in one of the bullet points. I had lack of judgment for a period of time. I went from having plans to having a baby to suddenly living with roommates, feeling like my life was in utter chaos. But in the throes of all of this, what it did for me, ladies, is it gave me the permission to wipe my slate clean and really start building, creating from the ground level up, asking myself probably for the very first time, what would need to be in place in my life to actually feel happy? If I am alone and divorced at 30, what would need to be in place to be happy? And I started to get to know myself at a deeper level. And these photos, sure, they show an aesthetic change, but more than anything, the change in these photos was always coming more and more into alignment with the truth of who I really am, and feeling that light from inside, that ignited force that is saying, I know who I am, I know why I'm here, and I'm excited, and I believe in my powers to co-create the life of my wildest dreams. So it's really the awareness that I'm the creator. I am responsible for everything that's showing up, and no longer this victim mentality of life happening to me, but it was this realization, what? It's me, I am happening to life, right? So what actually took place? What actually took place to allow the positive transformation? A massive commitment to practice radical self-love. My spiritual awakening went hand in hand with learning about the power of my mind, challenging my belief systems, which ones had been in place and are they serving me? Learning about my vibration that's always emanating, that's always attracting, that's always manifesting, and understanding I needed to start deconstructing certain areas of my life that weren't a positive influence, that no longer supported me. I needed to set boundaries for the first time in my life. I needed to declutter. And when I say declutter, I not only downsized, I sold everything I owned, and I moved into a 390 square foot shoebox. This office, it's maybe 200 square feet. I moved into something so small, but the beauty of it is I discovered so much existed inside of me all along. So many dormant forces and faculties became alive in the process of shedding layers that didn't need to be there. Now, I literally did it with the downsizing. You don't have to literally do it, but it's this idea of what is blocking the truth and that authentic self, that higher calling that wants to be called forth, that's beckoning us to be called forth. And a big part of this was learning to set larger containers of possibility in my life. What if it's up to me, casting the net, using my imagination to go places I hadn't gone before, and believe that in fact could be a reality of mine, right? So I submerged myself into self-development, specialized education, and one step at a time, I started to gain confidence. I started to dream bigger in a way that former girl struggling with alcohol, struggling with unhealthy dynamics in many areas of life would have never entertained was in the cards for her. So flash forward, it's this transformation that you're going to be learning steps to implement in your own life, the quantum catalyst steps. It supported me build what I call 3 unrealistic businesses. And they're unrealistic because from at a glance, it doesn't sound like, oh, how could that work? And who else does something like that? And that's hairy fairy, get your head out of the clouds. But I want to show you by firsthand evidence and example, any inspired idea, anything that hasn't been done before, or even if it's been done a million times before, it's available, but it's going to be a reflection of whether it comes true on your belief systems. On your belief systems, can you entertain it as a possibility, right? So my skincare company was launched, my energy healing practice the next year, and then my coaching business in 2017, a transition to gaining the best health and vitality in my life in my later 30s, not looking at it as a downhill thing, but an upward growing freedom like I never knew was possible. This passion of being connected to the things I want to be, being connected to the right partner, and in divine timing, maybe not my timing, eventually having a family after all. And friendships, ride or die friendships that I didn't know were in the cards for me, realizing that a lot of my friendships were based on things that didn't really feel authentic and true. So this is a photo that kind of captures who is this girl and what paradigm is she living? This is when I traveled to Asia for a month while being an online coach, because I just thought, why not? That sounds amazing. But you got to understand that the girl before this transition was scared to go to a cafe by herself, let alone a plane, and head to Vietnam to say, I'm going to go work from my laptop. It was a true paradigm shift of possibilities. So sometimes we feel if we're going to move forward on this passion, this purposeful career path, that it means, well, I'll have to sacrifice income because I'm only used to making money in exchange for doing what I don't really want to do, or exchanging my time. And we feel like, well, if I did what I really want to do, I'd have to make less money, because wouldn't that be greedy, bad, or selfish to be abundant and do what I love? But that's just programming. That's a societal imprint. That is just a belief system that doesn't have to play out. So this is an example, not to brag, but just to show you, you can launch your new inspired business right out of the gate and go straight into abundance. It doesn't have to be years of sacrifice and struggle. And this is capturing the first 25 months. I grossed the 200K mark. It doesn't make sense because what they tell us is realistic isn't realistic when you're working in the quantum realm, when you're talking about spirituality and law of attraction and paradigms in which we live. So this is just a quick flash forward. You know, all of that craziness happened. I got my life in order. Some amazing things happened on the career front. I eventually met my partner. We got married, I got pregnant, I had a baby, like yada, yada, yada. But this is where I want to come back and share with you ladies that it wasn't that long ago. I was working in a full-time draining career. It was not long ago I had chronic pain, massive burnout, that I was feeling a touch of loneliness, wondering where my people were, not just romantic, but I mean my women, my soul tribe, women who see me, get me, celebrate me, accept me for who I am. And I was not that long ago still in turmoil due to an alcohol use relapse. And so again, highlighting things can change fast. Things can do a quantum leap in one's life. And it doesn't happen by luck. The universe doesn't decide one day, you've done your dues, things have been shitty long enough, here's something good. It doesn't work that way. It's about us doing the inner work, challenging old belief systems and paradigms, and staying with it long enough to start seeing our outer world rearrange itself in front of our very eyes. Sometimes it feels like there's a lag period, like the change isn't happening fast. We're doing the work. Why hasn't it shown up yet? So we can maybe give up on some of the new things we're doing. But again, it's giving the universe a chance to rearrange circumstances, not just you. There's other players and pieces involved in manifesting your deepest desires into your 3D life experience. So, quick question for you ladies in the chat box. Have any of you been through a really difficult time in your life? Drop a comment me if you have. Are any of you in the throes of something challenging and hard right now or this past year? Have any of you been through something hard and you've had the rebound, you were able to rise up and out of it? Or are any of you thinking, you know, it's not so much about a rock bottom, it's just, I know there's something more to life and I know I deserve it. I know it's in the cards for me, but I'm just not quite there, but I'm sensing it's around the corner. Maybe that's the phase you're in, right? Cool. So we're talking about a 5-step voyage. Like picture this, you're the captain, you're holding the wheel on your ship. And we are tonight doing a 5-step voyage to awaken your life and activate your sense of purpose, to really feel like this powerful creator in your destiny. So we're going through these 5 phases. And the first phase, feel free to grab a pen and notepad to journal down some of these prompts, because you may want to come back to it after to really marinate on these questions. So the first question is societal norms. Is there anything in my life that, if I'm being really honest, it doesn't feel good? It isn't the way I'd actually want it. And is it a reflection of perhaps societal norms, what's expected? And a question to help illuminate this is, are there aspects, are there structures, are there fundamental pieces of my life that actually feel like a should? A should feels like justified. I'm supposed to, I should. Sometimes it's like, well, if I don't, I'm letting other people down. It's looking like, are there areas that I'm in an energy of compromise and I'm doing it for this should versus a true desire? So sometimes we gravitate to things that are more of a band-aid solution to the thing that doesn't feel so good. And this could be a band-aid solution habit. For me, it happened to be alcohol. Some people, it's emotional eating. Some people, it's drugs. Some people, it's unconsciously social media scrolling. Like there's so many different things it can be, but it can be a habit that in some shape or form is a distraction from what deep down in your heart you sense there's an energetic discord. So it could be being in a less than ideal friendship or relationship because it's like, well, otherwise I'd be alone or I might be lonely. Well, if I don't do this career, there's going to be a justification of why that system or structure is in place when in your heart, it doesn't actually feel right. So this is a powerful question I asked the ladies this morning. Actually, I asked my private clients Sunday night, it was, is there an area of your life that you struggle with finding motivation, with staying on track? It's like, I got to get motivated. I got to get on that diet. I got to get to the gym. I got to find my motivation to adhere to something, but it's like, for some reason, you just can't adhere to it. So think about the times you actually feel inspiration for something. Don't those times, those endeavors don't feel so hard. It's not like you're trying to twist your arm to be consistent with it. The inspiration is just there and it just flows. So sometimes we initiate a goal or a dream and it feels like we run out of gas on it because we run out of motivation. But this is where I want to challenge you. Is there opportunity to slightly pivot the goal or dream, maybe modify it so that it actually is a little bit more aligned, so that inspiration, genuine, can flow to it? Inspiration in spirit. It's like you're channeling energy from the universe, from source, your wise guidance side, that gives you that like gumption to follow through, to execute, to launch the business, to exercise in a way that's actually fun for you and not a dread. I mean, this concept of motivation versus inspiration holds true for so many topics. I can't really see anyone right now, but I can see the chat box. Drop something in the chat box if you've had the different experience of trying to get motivated versus just feeling inspiration. Can you feel a difference? It's palpable. Inspiration, you get lost in it. You sometimes even access flow state. And doesn't that feel good? So the problem isn't often like, oh, you just aren't motivated enough. Often the thing is just like, we need to pivot. It's that micro adjustment to get on a just slightly more aligned course where inspiration can be channeled. So this is where we can take inventory. Well, what in my life doesn't feel aligned? What feels heavy? What feels uninspiring? Where is there excessive compromise? You know, what do I not like about my lifestyle? If I'm being honest, what do I not like about my income, my bodily health, the way my body feels, my level of freedom, or my relationships, right? It might be a little bit of all of them. It might be like, oh, you know, for sure it's this particular sector. So knowledge is power. It's hard to manifest what we do want if we aren't aware of what we don't want, you know, and gaining the awareness of what we don't want helps us launch our rocket toward the things that we do want. So this is phase 2. You can flip the page and actually write clarifying and trusting my desires. Clarity on my desires. So what are well, first and foremost, before it being a tangible thing, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel a good chunk of my year, of my life? You know, I always get clear at the start of the year, what are feeling states that are important to me? So one of these I wrote is, I am accepted, I am enough. I am peaceful, I am at ease. I am vibrant and energized. I'm inspired and excited. I clarify feeling states as the non-negotiable and allow for the manifestation of what would be needed to support the way I actually want to feel. Because earlier in this training, you learned, well, I didn't even stop to think about the way I want to feel. I just went straight to got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. Oh, why does that not end up even feeling that good? And when we get clear on our desires, we can start trusting them, knowing they're here for a reason. They're like a compass, always guiding us, like a shining light, North Star, like a compass toward that destination that really is going to be reflective of our higher calling. And you can think of this as our emotional guidance system. If you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, they always talk about emotional guidance system. And one way to help illuminate more about the things we desire more of, is asking ourselves, well, what do I love doing? What do I love learning about? What do I get lost in? What doesn't even feel like work, you know? And a big question is to say, am I spending adequate time nurturing my zone of genius? We all have a zone of genius. It's where we get captivated. We might not be that skilled at it yet, but if we're interested and enthusiastic about it, it is eventually going to be something we would be talented at, that zone of genius. And often our zone of genius is put last on the back burner as the last thing I'm going to do, because all of my other adult responsibilities that all feel like compromise are going to be put first. So we want to do kind of a 180 on that approach. So it's asking ourselves, what is my ideal lifestyle? What time do I go to work in the morning? Where do I work? What does my business look like? What's my monthly income? What's the extra money available after my bills? What does my ideal body, more importantly than look, what does it feel like to be at home in my body, right? So this is where we might notice there's some discord. Okay, I want things to be like this. There's some things at place that aren't like that. We'll call that contrast. But contrast is a powerful thing because it's what can propel us, give us the energy to go toward the thing we want, to be willing to effect some sort of new action, new aligned action to get a new outcome. You know, if 2 + 2 = 4, and if 4 feels fine, why would we ever start doing 2 + 3 to get 5? We're only going to do a 2 + 3 to get 5 if being at 4 starts feeling uncomfortable enough. I hope that made sense. So a fun question is, how would my most elevated self feel? How would she show up to life? How would she act? How would she carry herself? How would she speak? How would she introduce herself? How would she shake someone's hand? How would she look them in the eye, right? Am I being aspects of that right now? Or am I saying one day later, not ready yet? And sometimes, well, I'm not going to say sometimes, I'm going to say so often, us women will use our past as evidence as to what can or cannot be in the future. Well, this is the kind of income I've always had. So this is the kind of income I'll always have. This is the kind of work I've had for 25 years. So why would I suddenly start to be able to do something different? This is the kind of body or health I've had for so long, or relationships. And we're using that as evidence. But here's the kicker. We're always manifesting something new every day, every week, every month. So we're manifesting the same thing again. And it might feel like things aren't changing when really it's us not realizing how much the past is influencing our day-to-day thought process and our day-to-day container of possibility. And this is where we want to say, okay, enough is enough. I am going to take back my fucking power. And how do we do that? How do we take back our power? How do we become these conscious creators of these very expanded visions for our life? The essence of the whole change is understanding our dominant vibration. What we're always emanating out is a reflection of where we're at in life right this very second. And the only person who has any control over a dominant vibration to actually change it, the only person who has authority over it is us. We can allow outside influences to penetrate, to permeate, to influence our beliefs, to influence our perceptions, but it's always up to us what comes through and what we are going to entertain as true or false for us in our life. We can choose to remove ourselves from negative influences that could actually lower our vibration because they're Debbie Downers or always complaining. We can choose to remove ourselves from toxic environments that leave us feeling lethargic and low and depleted and uninspired. But all of that is always going to come back to us making a choice, steering my ship. Oh, I got to pivot away from this turbulent storm over here, smoother waters this way, right? So we have the power to raise our own frequency and track more success and happiness in all areas of our life. It's a very ethereal topic. It's like, okay, yes, I believe that, but I don't totally get it. So our dominant vibration is really a reflection of these three things: our overall emotions, our feelings, but also our belief systems, our fundamental belief systems of how life works for us, paradigm, and also our overall vitality, our overall life force, our overall health. So let's say you had one of those, there's a tool that actually measures your vibration. And when you're really, really sick, it's normal, your vibration lowers. And when you're in optimal health, your vibration goes higher. So health vitality plays a part, our belief systems, as well as our emotions, our feeling state. Now, how do we know day in and day out where our frequency is? Well, the life being mirrored back to us will be a good indication, but also just the overall way we're feeling. If we're feeling in a really, really shitty mood, it's hard to jump to, I'm feeling exalted and liberated, but there are things we can do to pivot to a more neutral state. Just taking a shower will cleanse one's energy, in all honesty, and help bring us back to a more neutral state. So some of you, this might be something you totally already know, but bear with me if you're someone who this might be kind of new. The emotional guidance scale. So some of these denser, heavier vibrations, they're feelings such as hatred, guilt, shame, fear, depression, disappointment. And as we're moving up in a higher frequency, you can see the feelings of passion, enthusiasm, and eagerness and optimism. And right now, on a mass collective consciousness level, there is a feeling of fear, and we can be impacted by mass collective consciousness. So this is where we want to put even more mindfulness and awareness into, how can I do my best to protect my state of mind, my energetic state, so that I don't live and operate from fear, knowing it's really tough to manifest what I do want from that frequency. Is this making sense? It sounds unfair, but the saying, the better it gets, the better it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets, it holds a lot of truth to it. Because when you're down in the dumps, it's easy to keep manifesting something challenging. Whereas when you're feeling so excited and happy, you tend to see things are just flowing easier. The work lies in getting from the funk into the sweet spot. And understanding life happens. It's normal to ebb in and out of the highs and the lows. No one is invincible to the challenges, the setbacks, or the hardships that come their way. So phase 3 continued is allowing your feelings to guide you to more aligned action, and knowing that whatever feels better, whatever feels like a sigh of relief in the body, whatever feels warmer, it's like your soul, your higher self is saying, right, go this way, you got it, keep going, right? But if it's feeling like, oh, no, not in my stomach, oh, okay, then maybe you don't want to keep going that way if there's that resistant energy at play. And often we stay in jobs, we stay in environments, we stay in income brackets that no longer feel optimal for us, because it's almost like we feel like I'm not supposed to leave this, even though I've grown and evolved out of it. I'm no longer an energetic match for it. Thus the energetic discord of being there doing that thing. So when we start taking these new actions that we haven't done before, and we're limiting the amount of compromise and shoulds, something magical truly happens, ladies. Your life rearranges itself, but you actually start stepping into your greatest competence. There's a gene key where the lower frequency of it is compromise and the higher frequency is competence. It's on the same key. There's a book called Gene Keys. And isn't that amazing to think, when I don't compromise, I actually access strengths and faculties that may have been dormant, that allow me to be in a higher competence of how I be in life, of the capabilities I have. An example of this for me is transitioning from the corporate career to making this crazy skincare line made with Reiki and crystal essences. And I mean, all these cuckoo things from the outside looking in, but it worked because that was entering competence for me and not compromise. Higher frequency, more success, no matter what you do. Success is an energetic match to higher frequency. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, so phase 4 is really fun. We're now going deeper into the law of attraction conversation. We're talking about the quantum realm and manifesting in it. So some of you, I don't know if any of you are on this call, but I got really heated about this topic. I went on a riff about it on Instagram, talking about the quantum realm being this place where every possibility exists as pure potentiality. That means the life experience where you're a millionaire, the life experience where you're in poverty, the life experience where things are really satisfying, the life experience where things are always a chore. Like, every possibility exists. And I was describing it. Imagine you have always been getting the jar of pickles and you don't even really love the pickles. But then one day in your awakening to you being the creator of your own life, you discover, oh my gosh, not only are there things outside of the pickle jar aisle, there's things that I would absolutely delight and relish in. There's desserts, there's cheesecakes, there's brownies, but it would require me going down the aisle and turning and going to the left. So it's this idea of not realizing that there's even this other realm available for us to choose from, but it requires us to utilize our imagination in a greater way, to envision things for a future in a way we didn't entertain. Because if we don't entertain it, if we don't ever put thought of it being a potential, it cannot happen. It cannot manifest and it cannot show up, right? So this concept of larger possibility in your life, it's like a fisherman. He can cast a little net and be guaranteed those 10 fish. And one day he's discovering, well, I have a giant net. What if I cast that? Is there a possibility I could take home 100 fish? And it's this idea of like casting a bigger net. There's often resistance in doing that because we tend to be hardwired to not want to be disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed, so I won't even shoot big or admit the extravagance of my desires, because if it doesn't happen, I'll be let down. Well, here's the thing. If we don't admit it, no matter what, it won't happen. And we technically would still be disappointed. So if the desire is, I want to be a 100% full-time entrepreneur, I want to make 100K a year, I want to be in the best health and fitness of my life, I want to do something that feels purposeful and changes lives every single fucking day, I want to be creative, I want to work from home. If that is the desire, you are the one deciding, am I throwing my net there? Or am I saying, I'll put my net here and I'll just keep working at my corporate job that I don't actually love? Because it's a choice. It's a choice of where am I going to cast the net? I know I'm talking a lot about work in that regard, but it holds true for any situation. And this is this kind of uncomfortable truth. We're always manifesting new, but it sometimes doesn't feel new when it feels identical to what's been, right? So I already touched on this. It's shifting perspectives. It's giving ourselves permission to go to a different aisle altogether in the grocery store. Admitting what we actually want is the first step in creating that new paradigm. And being intentional with our direction. Sometimes what happens is we don't even realize what's been happening, case in point me, and then we wake up one day and it really feels off course. Whereas knowing this is what I want and keeping my energy and attention forward versus looking in the past helps expedite how fast we can get there. And I don't know about you, but it is easy to advocate for reasons why what we desire couldn't happen for us. Think of a lawyer in a court case. One lawyer is advocating for the reasons why you can't have that. Well, it wasn't like that before. You don't have the education. You're not as talented. You're not. Well, what if the energy was put to the lawyer who's giving the reasons why? Why, despite having children, despite having a cranky, whatever, like who knows the circumstance, but saying despite that, you still get to have the deepest desire manifest into your reality, right? Despite having the setback, despite having the challenge or the adversity. And this is where I want to bring forth one more journal prompt exercise. I find when I take myself through these specific questions, I see where I'm holding back. But when I preface it as, can you ask yourself, if nothing, like really tune into your heart right now, if nothing you wanted was bad, if nothing you wanted was too much or greedy or unrealistic, and it had nothing to do with taking away from others, and no one would judge you, not your parents or your mother-in-law or your cousins or high school people who are still on your Facebook, like if no one would judge you or criticize you, what would you want? What would you want? And sometimes we think, well, what I would want, no one's ever done yet. So could that be a sign it's not possible? Well, let's challenge that. Could it be a sign that no one's done it and you're the one thinking about it because you're the one meant to bring it forth? My skincare company, for example, no one had put crystal magic and Reiki in skincare, not that I knew of. But I took it as a sign. I got the idea. What a blessing. I'm going to move forward on it. And you might be thinking, well, Christine, okay, let's say you want to be a coach and maybe you want to do something just like I do. You're transformational coaching with women. transmuting your pain into your purpose. Cool, awesome, best career in the world, I think. You might be thinking, well, so many people do that. Is that evidence I can't? Well, take it as evidence. If you're manifesting a real life example of people who do the thing you want to do, tell yourself right here, right now, you're in the same frequency and wavelength of that for it to even be showing up as something that exists, right? If you're aware of someone who, let's say, makes $1 million a year, pat yourself on the back knowing you're in the same wavelength frequency to even, like law of attraction, like bring someone into your conscious awareness who's that abundant, right? That's kind of a cool spin on it, and it helps increase confidence. And sometimes we have these sneaky things called hidden incentives, meaning reasons to stay in the pickle jar aisle, right? Oh, I really want that thing, but deep down inside, I have this secret hidden belief that is telling me it's safer to stay in the pickle aisle. Sometimes a hidden incentive can be fear of relationships changing, fear of being less accepted by the herd, fear of being, at the end of the day, often it's fear of being less loved and accepted in some shape or form, whether it be from your husband, who maybe is the primary bread earner. Well, what would happen if he goes from being the primary bread earner and you are making 150K a year? Would a dynamic change? Would there be fear of that? What would happen if your friends who all complain about their job, you're suddenly, I'm launching my business and I love my life and my business is amazing? Like, would there be fear that there'd be a rejection element there? We don't always have hidden incentives, but sometimes we do. I had an hidden incentive of not attracting 𝐐𝐮 into my life for a fair bit of time because I felt I'd have to compromise or not be so passionate about the work I do if I was in a relationship. I felt like, who on earth could handle me? And I never want to have to hold back on how spiritual I am. And what guy out there can even understand what I do? I do Reiki and I work with crystals. And I just felt like I had a belief that said I'd have to compromise who I am to be with someone. So the hidden incentive was I'll lose part of who I am if I'm with someone. So I was single for quite a long time until I realized I had that hidden incentive, and I decided to clean it up and usher in a new belief system. And here's the thing, the universe provides us what we expect to be true. You know, we can be like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. I told you, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, if you believed that was going to happen, you definitely helped manifest that happen, right? All right. So, this next one is this fifth one is a really powerful one. I'm just going to stop sharing so I can see you because I don't even know who's on the call right now. Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing? Hello, Leanne, Raquel, Pauline. Again, I have 3 or 4 different Christines listed here and not your actual name. Nikki, nice to see you. Are some of these concepts landing, illuminating some insights, some aha moments? I hope so. Just reading some of the comments. Oh my gosh, and the comments say it's from Christine, so I don't know who actually said it. You'll have to direct message me after if you like. Okay, so let's get back. Okay, this 5th exercise, you guys, it could cause some tears, so be warned, but it's really, really powerful. Here we go. Here we go. So pain as the catalyst. This is where we're getting the fuel. This is where we want to take a time to reflect on, are there any subconscious patterns at play that could be blocking what I want without me even really realizing the magnitude of this? So I want you to reflect in childhood, in your teenage years, and in your adult life. Can you think about some sort of pattern where it might have been a different person or circumstance, but you were left feeling not so good? So a classic example of this with women I've worked with is feeling somehow not enough. Sometimes that's the overall thing. Another example is feeling unseen or invisible, or like something about like not as much attention as the sibling or the friends in high school. Another example that is sometimes common is something about level of intelligence. My example, just while you're brainstorming and getting your wheels turning, is the key way I was left feeling from childhood was abandoned and neglected. But when I think about the key way I was left feeling when I had my first romantic relationships as a teenager, I felt neglected because I was cheated on. But then when I go into my 20s, what do you know? Different partners, but my subconscious pattern was very evident. I was still attracting partners that mirrored to me this subconscious patterning of neglect. It felt like they were neglecting me, but really what they were doing was mirroring to me this wound that hadn't been illuminated and healed. So even the painful dynamics in our life, these people are in some shape or form a spiritual teacher, showing us clearly, oh, what is still active that I don't want to be active anymore. If any of you feel comfortable or already have an insight, oh, you know what? I think my pattern might be, I end up feeling the. If you want to share in the chat box, go for it. You might want to spend longer marinating and kind of pondering this. And it's not to ruminate on the past and then, oh, woe is me. We're going to be super empowered in this exercise. In when you gain awareness, what that overall feeling is in terms of the pattern that doesn't feel good, you're going to look up on an online dictionary, Oxford or Webster's, whatever the case, and type in some of these words you think might be the subconscious pattern, like the word, and look at what possible antonyms are. This is such a magical exercise. You're going to look up antonyms. So I did this. I remember it was May 2015, and I was living in that tiny little shoebox apartment, trying to get to the root of these patterns and finally seeing like, oh, it's this word, it's this thing, it's neglect. Why can't I start having something different show up? And when I saw the antonym specific, I read the word cherish. Ooh, my cells lit up. Something told me, I was like, this word means everything to you. This word is the pathway through. This word is your healing journey. And I realized right then and there that it was going to be up to me, not outside, but me, to do everything I can to cherish myself, to give myself the true opposite energy and treatment of neglect. So that meant the way I think, is it cherishing and adoring and loving myself? The way I treat my body, cherishing, loving, and adoring myself. What I say yes to, where my boundaries are set, who I even go on a date with, cherishing, loving, and adoring myself. And it was such a clear indicator that I had the work to do to clear the pattern, that I was like, you know what, I'm changing my skincare company. And I changed it that day to Body Cherish. So for those of you who don't know why the company's named that, it's called that because it was my pathway of transmuting pain to purpose. So I've worked with women where they discover their key antonym and they realize, wow, this is actually how I want to serve and support other women. As I transmute and heal this thing at a deeper level, I want to somehow help other women do that at a deeper level too. It's like, doesn't that just make your head spin with delight? This idea of being able to see our pain for a purpose, for a reason happening for us, not to us. And then somehow we get to support other people, go through the eye of the storm, knowing we've been out the other side. Isn't that amazing? So if any of you uncover your antonym and it rings true, let me know. I would love to hear what your word is and what the key antonym is, because it's a really powerful thing. Oh, oopsies. My computer just did something weird. Just bear with me. Okay. So oopsies. There we go. My computer. Oh, we're doing it again. Sorry, just 2 secs. It might not be doing something weird to you guys. Maybe it's just doing something weird to me. Can you, just 2 secs. Okay. My email keeps like jumping up in my screen and I don't know if that is happening to you guys on your end. Okay, we're going to try this again. Okay, there we go. Okay. So something exciting happens when we start creating a life that is like spurred on by this sense of purpose, by this sense of wanting to do something above and beyond our own lives. We start shifting from a certain level of survival consciousness to I am of service consciousness. And that in itself is a higher frequency. To be mindful of time, I'm going to go really quick on phase 6. Phase 6 is something we don't often talk about, but it's the importance of befriending our bodies, these flesh suits. Sometimes we disconnect so much from our body and we don't realize that our relationship with our body impacts to a great deal what we manifest in our lives. Because think about if deep down inside, we don't think our body is good enough or looks the right way or isn't adequate. I'd say 99% of women go through these thoughts from time to time. And think of that, not adequate, not enough, not good enough. Well, guess what the frequency wavelength of that is? That's not enough, which is the same as scarcity, lack thereof. Does abundance and success exist on the plane of lack thereof, not enough? Absolutely, it does not. So one of the ways we can actually gain abundance in our lives, including that of money, is coming to greater peace and self-acceptance with our flesh suit, whatever it looks like, whatever shape it is, knowing it's enough. Isn't that interesting? They don't talk to you about that in diet plans. And they don't really talk to you about that in just the money manifestation world too, this connection with our body. Our body is very much root chakra, and root chakra is largely at play with our financial sector, with our feeling of being supported, financially supported, held by our life experience. Okay, so as you can see here, I didn't do just 5 phases. I snuck in 7, and the 7th is taking new aligned action. One of the most important things about new aligned action, it's not so much about like, how fast can I go there? Aligned action is the direction correct? Direction is 100 times more important than speed. Sometimes we feel like we need to speed and rush to get something done. Well, that's wasted energy if our compass was putting us 15 degrees off destination. If we're going fast, 15 degrees off the aligned destination, we're going to end up in Timbuktu and be like, how did I get here? Oh, I was rushing. I didn't stop to make sure the action was aligned. Aligned action expedites results faster because it actually ensures we end up where we want to go. Isn't that a cool analogy to kind of see it, like the compass, and a little bit off, we end up where we don't want to go if we stay on the wrong course for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 65. What? I'm retiring and I never did what I wanted to do with my life, right? It can sneak up on us. Sometimes when we're on the brink of expansion, doing something new, it will feel exciting, simultaneous as terrifying. And that's where we want to discern. Is this scary as in I shouldn't do it? Or is it scary as in I just haven't done it before and I'm taking myself to a leading edge. I'm taking myself to a leading edge of my life, right? And I already talked about this, but it's really understanding the power of our imagination is our greatest asset. It's our greatest ally, but it can also be our greatest hindrance if we imagine and imagine is we're using energy. If we imagine outcomes we don't truly desire, we're moving away from our desires and toward the very thing we don't want to put focus toward, the very thing we want less of. So that's where we want to check in. Am I putting my intention and attention forward? Or do I keep just trying to move away from what I don't like and focusing on what I don't like? And what do you know? More of what I don't like. Okay, so this is where we want to be discerning with who we share our energy with. Are they supporting us grow and flourish and go to that next level? Take ourselves to the edge we haven't been before. Staying the course. Is our network, is our community helping us unleash our highest potential? Or is it helping us stay with what has been or currently comfortable, currently status quo? So here's a quick recap. What doesn't feel good? Let's clarify what I want. Let's take back my fucking power. Let's sharpen my skill set of manifesting in the quantum realm. Can I use my key antonym, that magical word, as my catalyst for positive change while befriending my body and challenging myself to take new aligned action that I haven't done before? So the gifts, the 2 gifts plus the draw, it is coming soon. but I'm going to transition now to sharing, for those of you who are interested, I shared at the beginning, you're getting a sneak early preview of something that's being shared to the public in a couple of days, that I've been envisioning, creating, channeling a brand new experience, a brand new offer. It's really been coming through this last year as I've been going through quite a metamorphosis in my own life. And I want to let you know that although I had a lot of challenges way back when, and you know, I did a quantum leap from them, it doesn't mean I'm never invincible to new challenges, because the truth is I had a really tough 2021, you guys. Some things happened in my life that I wasn't expecting, and it brought me a lot of tears. And Cole's Notes version is I encountered postpartum depression and I wasn't expecting it. I had a very surprising shift in my own identity. Those things don't happen to me. I don't get depressed. I don't get anxiety. I had a really challenging situation show up in my environment with nightmare tenants moving in. And I had some challenges show up in my marriage. And so I just felt like, what is happening? This doesn't feel right. The chaos of the world outside of me. But that's when I reminded myself, oh, I've been in a million times worse. And I know how to use any adversity, any challenge, any temporary setback as my rocket fuel to manifest above and beyond where my life has been before. And anchoring into some of these principles I've taught you and that are taught in this upcoming offering that I've been developing, it's what really helped me expedite this positive shift. It's what helped me manifest my dream house in a remarkable period of time, getting out of that uncomfortable environment. Positive steps in healing my body, positive steps in healing and nurturing my relationship, and really getting back on track to a place that felt deeply aligned in my life. So I just thought it's paramount to share. You don't have rock bottom once and then life is sugar gumdrops forever. Adversity happens. It's what we do with that that makes all the difference. And in my viewpoint, what this offering is all about is using any challenge, any setback, any disappointment as the fuel to take your life above and beyond where it was before, to supersede where your life was before. So in any case, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. Okay, all of the things that I could do, will I adhere to them? Will I stick with them? Will I be supported? Will I fall off course? Some of the concepts are quite ethereal, like, will my mind keep doing these leading edge things? And that's the power of this new program. This is a true reflection of my own journey, rebounding from challenges higher than before. And I know it works. You guys heard my backstory. You know that there is a process. And this new offering, for those who are interested, it's called Quantum Catalyst, She Who Rises from the Ashes. And it doesn't matter if there was a minor setback, a large setback, or maybe you just don't love your current career path. It's really feeling ignited from the inside out, knowing you are exactly where you should be. What's super cool about this, ladies, is it's a dynamic, intimate group coaching experience. And it's really for the woman who's at this point who says, I am ready to rise up and claim what is inherently mine. I am ready this year, out of all years, to step into this highest vision I hold for myself. I am ready to unlock those dormant forces, those faculties, those talents, my competence, my higher competence, no longer being compromised in any area of my life. So this quantum catalyst journey is for the kind of woman who is ready to manifest above and beyond, supersede where her life has been before, use any disappointment as the catalyst, and really feels in the pit of her tummy that she has untapped vision beckoning her forth, you know, pulling her forward to be realized and unleashed in some shape or form to the world. So this experience is to support you uncover and align fully with your unique purpose. And if you haven't started already, creating that purposeful business with it. If you already have your passion-based business, taking it to that more expanded, successful level. Experiencing a total mindset makeover, a paradigm shift of what you get to experience. And it's so powerful because when you're with other women doing these things, the momentum, it's so much faster than if you're working just one-on-one with someone. It's an experience to help you elevate that dominant vibration, to be able to be consistently attracting that new that new norm into your life. And a big key component is massive clarity and confidence on the path you are on, knowing how to get to the next step and the next step. So really supporting you become an energetic match to those larger container of possibilities that you will be clarifying, being unapologetic in who you are and allowing that self-assured woman to come shining through, strengthening your intuition, your decision-making capabilities, being able to make decisions fast that really help tip the needle on that vision that you're bringing forth. And part of that is also the confidence of setting those strong boundaries and standards for what you're available for, or perhaps what you're no longer available for. So part of this is accessing, but then also embodying. It's one thing to know something, but it's another thing to really embody it in our being, in our DNA, that fiercest, boldest, most brilliant, leading edge self, to attract what you desire most in relationships, in friendships, in clients, if you already have your business, to take real tangible steps in the building, in the launching, in all of the things, to improve your relationship with money so that it doesn't have to be a sacrifice in any shape or form moving forward on this inspired vision of your life. Quite the contrary. And part of the momentum to get there is finding forgiveness from past hurts and learning at this deep rooted level how to transmute any pain into purpose. The purpose can be just learning to love ourselves at a deeper level, you know? So I'm just sharing some photos from some past ladies I've worked with in different containers, in different programs. And I share photos of them to show, like, look, real women, just like you. Okay, so some tangibles of this experience. It is not something that will feel like another thing on your plate and you're falling behind. Quite different. It's going to feel like something like there's spaciousness for, because there's a live group call every second week. So it gives you spaciousness in between, and every group call has a live training. So it's not so much about like, did I get my homework done? Did I do all the things I need to do? Not on the call. It's like you're learning on the call, but then there's this beautiful soul sister mastermind where you get to really know each other and talk and share and get an aha based on what she shared. And you say something back and it's like, epiphanies. And there's also personalized hot seat coaching. So you still get that laser sharp, like high level touch support. You do get access to 7 modules on the back end, but you can go through them at your own pace, on your own accord, on your own time, and you get lifetime. Like you can literally do this when you're 80. So there isn't a pressure of the speed. And you get bonus full access. I just threw this slide in today. Bonus full access to 3 of the self-study programs. I think I have 4 or 5 self-study programs. You get to select 3 and just throw them into your membership site. So if you haven't been in an intimate mastermind dynamic, they're life-changing. I'm in one right now. And how I grow, where I get stretched just from being around the synergy of this women, it's monumental. I enjoy it more than private mentoring, because it's like you still get the private mentoring, but you get a couple other ladies in your experience as well. And I'm selective with this in ensuring you're in a small group of like-minded women to facilitate the transformative experience, to facilitate the breakthroughs, and ample time to talk and share and all of the things. Why these masterminds are so powerful, it has to do with entrainment. It's like, who are you normally always around? And then, you're suddenly around all these people doing these amazing things, dreaming big the way you dream, believing in the things you believe in. And it's like you rise together. It's like this expedited pace. And then she has success, and then you have success, and you deepen your friendship, and you just really feel like the rate at which you up level goes faster, which is really, really cool. So just sharing some testimonials from my site. These ladies did different offerings, but all under my wing to share, again, real women experiencing real, true, long-lasting results. If if you're curious to see more, there's about 50 on my website, bodycherish.ca. I'll just scroll through these and get to some other information. So the process for this experience is, if you're curious to learn more, if you're thinking, oh my God, I think I might want to do it, there's an application form, and it doesn't hold you to doing the experience, but it lets me learn a little bit more about you. And then I would be following up with you in a conversation and chatting more about it and taking it from there. So I'll share that form in a moment here. And I'm also going to be doing the draw in a moment. But to wrap this up, this experience, Quantum Catalyst, it is to feel ignited, inspired, having this new lease on life, feeling like this 100% capable, awakened woman on track for your vision, having this new paradigm unfold, having this higher point of attraction, having procrastination and perfectionism removed. You know, your mentor is in your back pocket supporting you on, your soul sisters are supporting you on, and the sky isn't even the limit. Okay, what I'm going to do right now, I'm just seeing how many slides I have left. Just bear with me 2 secs. We're almost at the draw slide. I'm just going to grab a link to put in our chat box. 2 secs here. Okay, coming back to the chat box. Okay, so for those of you who are interested, this form will probably take about 5 minutes to fill out. And I shared with the ladies this morning's call, I'm going to be going over everyone's information, and I'm going to reply to everybody by tomorrow. So I'll leave that link there. You can open it up in your browser and feel free to come back to it after our presentation today. And you can also send me a message if you have specific questions for me. Sorry, that's just the form there. We're going back to the presentation. Okay. Okay, so here is just a couple more slides, 10 more slides. Okay, so I want to invite you ladies, you know, we were talking about the power of imagination. Can you imagine rolling into the next season of your life, feeling on fire, feeling so excited? Like I said, one of my core feelings this year, it's feeling excited. It's feeling excited about 2022. Can you look forward to breaking free from any of those old limitations or patterns keeping you stuck, and really know I'm a true visionary, I'm a boss of my life, and I'm an unstoppable force of nature. That was one of my intentions when I was going through those difficult moments in 2021, is telling myself I'm an unstoppable force of nature. And really reminding yourself, you are the only one in charge here. You are the only one creating the container of possibility of what unfolds next in your life. Can you challenge yourself to do things, to take action in a way perhaps your old identity wouldn't have felt comfortable? So there's 3 options: procrastinate and do nothing, tell yourself it's not the right time, maybe 2023, or make that powerful leadership decision. If this resonates with you, it won't resonate with everyone, that 2022 is going to be the quantum catalyst year of your life. Okay, so last question about the offer is, does this feel like a yes in your body? When you tap into your wise guide inside, and especially if the concept of money didn't even exist, would this be something that would be fun and exhilarating and expansive? And whatever the answer is to that, can you trust that desire? And then following that, you'll be like, yes, maybe I do want to, but I do need to know the price. The price is shared in the application form for those of you who are interested. And for the ladies in the live calls today and tonight, this class, there is an early bird $1,503 off. And then when it's being shared with the public, it goes back up to regular price. So you ladies are getting access to the debut early bird. Okay, so change the page. My computer's going slow, it's heating up. So there's only a small group of women entering the mastermind to ensure high level support, and that we don't dilute the experience by having too many hands in the cookie jar, if that makes sense. So step 1 is fill out the application form. If this resonates, send me a message if you have questions. And step 2 is to do a happy dance and get excited about this powerful decision. And I already shared about the sale prices, the monumental savings, which are super exciting. And again, if you're curious to see more testimonials, there's about 50 on the website and a wackadoodle, a video. I don't know who, I'm not sure if all of the ladies are in this class who signed up, but some of you weren't necessarily appropriate for Quantum Catalyst. Some of you were more appropriate for my high-level business mastermind, specific for online coaches looking to grow their businesses to 6 or multiple 6 figures. That offering is not Quantum Catalyst. That would be something called Conscious Leadership Rising. And that is a whole different program, but you can still submit a form if you'd like to learn more about that. Okay, I'm gonna skip to some new slides. Okay, so real quick, just touching on for those of you who are thinking, oh my gosh, Christine, I'm kind of interested in doing this. Why trust me as your mentor? 𝐐𝐮𝐧 version, this is the work I'm devoted to. I've done it for 13 years, 9 years in the private sector, and coming up on my 5th year anniversary, my own private practice. The reason I quit my corporate job is because as a primary therapist working for an insurance company, WCBI couldn't offer transformation in the holistic perspective that my belief system says is required to really get long-lasting change. My clients who did be open-minded to me sneaking in these overarching principles, they had immense transformation, 2 of which have been featured in Edmonton newspapers because of the power of their transformation following their brain injury. So I'm deeply devoted to this work. I've invested $81,000 into my own coaching, and more than those resume stats, I'm 100% committed to my clients, to their inner peace, their growth, their evolution, and their successful outcome. Okay, so on to, okay, I'll skip that slide. I don't want to have this presentation go too long. Okay, free gifts, free gifts. So one free gift is for those of you who are interested in applying. I'm giving away complimentary sessions that are valued at $555 for a single session. And for those of you who are entered into the self-study, I'm gonna find out who's on the call and write your name down right now, and then I'm gonna do the draw. And you'll be able to pick from Abundant Boss Queen, Release Yourself, Elevate Your Life, Soulpreneur Jumpstart, or Manifest Your Soulmate. For those of you watching live or the replay, you can pick, who are interested in Quantum Catalyst, you can pick 3 of those programs as your bonus to being in the live dynamic group coaching experience. Okay, so before I see who's on the call, the last gift is a $35 gift card to Body Cherish. So using Quantum 35 in all capitals gets you $35 off anything you want. So I think my most lowest priced item is $36. So the serum toner would cost you $1. And that is your present for attending all the way to the end. So to recap the Quantum Catalyst journey, right now for a few more days to the live attendees, 33% off, $1,503 off. And who is this for? The woman who's ready to rise into her power and step into her most authentic, successful expression, and who likes the idea of strutting through life with this unwavering sense of confidence, knowing who she is, why she's here. And at the end of the day, feels like she's done to some extent what society has expected of her, but is now ready to do what her heart is guiding her to do. And early bird sale for class participants will end on Friday. Okay, ladies, we are ready for the draw. Oh, one last thing. 3rd group challenge. If you're in my private group, Conscious Leadership Rising, the 3rd group challenge is what comes to mind as something you would regret not doing when you look back on your life when you're 80. What comes to mind? Is it, oh, I would regret if I don't go skydiving. I would regret if I don't go to Ireland. I would regret if I don't learn how to play the drums. I would regret if I don't quit my job and launch my business. Like whatever comes to mind, what is it? And then the second part of the challenge is, well, what's something you can do this year that would mitigate that feeling of regret? Maybe it's booking lessons with the person who's going to teach you drums, like literally booking the lesson. Maybe it's researching flights to Ireland. Maybe it's to get excited about quitting, draft your resignation letter, knowing in your heart and soul, one day you're going to submit that to your employer because you're going to be such a successful entrepreneur. Those are examples of how you can do that challenge. Sounds fun? Okay. Who is on this call? Okay, we have Pauline, Odessa, Leanne, Nikki, Raquel, Stephanie, Jolene, and Kaylee. Kaylee's? Okay. I'm impressed by my memory. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, and Nikki. Oh, sweet Nikki, you're back. Nikki, you were on this morning's call, right? Oh, who's down here at the bottom? Someone's here at the bottom and it says Christine, but I know that's not actually Christine.